Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing Monday here. We're going to take another look at Bitcoin, see what's going on, of course, help understand best practice and big picture. And just so you know too as well, moving forward, we're going to start looking a lot more at the macro movements, the larger time frames, to essentially understand these larger shifts in momentum, just to ensure that we are on the same page, we can invest effectively that way. It does help with dollar cost averaging too. So just future reference, I'll be covering that here soon. I'll probably be making separate videos regarding that, as well as probably adding some indicators too to the mix, because there are some larger time frame indicators I'm aware of that I want to make sure that I bring to your attention, and we can look at that soon. So bear that in mind. I'll be rolling out with that here relatively soon, and then of course I also plan to cover weekly the weekly closes to ensure that we can kind of look at that and evaluate what's happened in at a glance within the last 7 days at a time. All right, that being said, not a financial advisor. Hope you can learn something here today. CryptoCache.tech is the website if you want to become a better trader. Link in the description below. I've got a Signal Group Trading Academy and, of course, an amazing community. Over 200 members presently. It's a really awesome experience. Keep in mind, too, as well, I do have discounts for military and low-income housing. So feel free to communicate or contact me if you'd like. All that information is down below. Moving forward here with Bitcoin, what we want to start with, of course, is kind of the standard stuff and work our way down. And for the moment, of course, we can go ahead and start with the weekly just to ensure we kind of get a little bit more perspective on the big picture here. And the key takeaway here is that we're pretty much stuck under 50 on the RSI. That really tells us that we haven't, obviously, been able to get enough momentum in the past few weeks to get back up above that. Now, that could very well shift and change if this is our most recent low. 37.5 could be the lowest point, we'll see, but I don't think it's done retracing just yet. Time will tell, of course, but the smaller time frames, 1 day, etc., those are also looking more bearish than we are bullish. And at this point, we have to acknowledge the fact that we're under the 50 on the RSI, and of course, we're not looking fantastic there. We're also got a divergence here as well that is continuing, and it could very well continue for a lot longer. We can also peek over at the monthly too and see a very similar story here, where our monthly shows back in January we had that shift in momentum, and there's a good potential for this to continue for a few more months. Now, I'm not trying to scare you or concern you. I don't feel like we're going to see super low figures from Bitcoin, but I do think that it is possible for the price to continue to progress lower and to test our previous low, our most recent low, essentially. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There's a few different schools of thought, but generally speaking, it doesn't look fantastic in the overall sense of the word. All right, so that's kind of the big picture macro. Looking at the daily, which is still somewhat of a macro time frame, but more moves a little bit faster than those larger time frames. We can see also we're still stuck under 50 on the RSI. That is a pretty consistent situation that we're seeing across the board on larger time frames, and that really just tells us that we have this bearish type of sentiment in the market, and until we can break back above soundly, we won't be in a position to be able to expect the price to continue higher. In other words, in a lot of ways, of course, this is always changing, but I would say 42,000 is a pretty strong area in which we need to get back up above in order to be I wouldn't say on track, but definitely, kind of break that bearish type of divergence and to possibly work within a range for weeks or months at a time. That being said, though, we're not there yet. We're under 50 on the RSI, though, and that to me is a big deal, letting us know that we're still essentially on the wrong side of the track. So until we break 42, to me, I'm not going to feel comfortable with with any type of long position, if that makes sense. Taking a look here, though, of course, if you see the MACD, it's pretty much trying to converge. It's tried a few times in the past and keeps getting styed out. So that really just kind of tells us that the bears are in control, and we shouldn't expect that to change anytime soon until we start seeing higher highs and higher lows, which, once again, just to kind of reiterate here, we're still making lower highs and we're still making lower lows. Okay, so if this next little run can break and close above 40,000, then that would be a good starting point to possibly be able to see a shift in momentum. But that is still, again, just a starting point. That's not essentially even a position in which we can anticipate the price continue up. Because if you look back here, when the price came up here, it did make a higher high, but then it continued lower and essentially made lower lows. So just because we print a higher high doesn't mean we're in the clear. That will essentially allow for us to understand that, yes, we have some momentum, but if that momentum doesn't continue to last until we break some key level resistances, then we can expect the price to continue to progress downwards for now. But another school of thought too is that we make a higher high here, and then of course, continue to work our way down and up within this range. So 37.5 upwards of 41.5 is pretty much the channel that we're in right now. Okay, so obviously we haven't broken that channel since April 11th, so we're coming up on about 3 weeks of trading in this range here. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We could be range bound between 37.5 and 41.5. But ultimately, until we break above 42 or close soundly above the 50-day SMA, which is right at 42,000, we shouldn't expect to have a shift in momentum or a turnaround here, because we need to start printing higher highs and higher lows continuously, and we're a little ways off from that. All right, so this is kind of where we're at there on the daily. And if we look at the one thing. I guess we could take a look at here, but I don't think TD sequential is going to be much here. Yeah, we got some resets. Honestly, there's not a lot there. But let's take a quick look at the TD sequential here. We're about 4 hour candlesticks in, about 20 hours into the continuation to the upside here. So there is potential for another 24 hours of continuation higher. Now, bear in mind, this 50-day SMA has been holding the price action in place pretty consistently, and we need to acknowledge the fact that that could very well be a resistance, establishing the newest high at about 39,000, which could imply that we might see a lower low moving forward. We could even see somewhere around 36.5. In fact, I've got an alert set there so I can dollar cost average into that target, because again, these are just things that seem to be happening more consistently. We're seeing lower lows, lower highs, etc. There hasn't been any shift in change there. Yes, if you kind of stretch it out, you could say we're making higher lows in the 4 hour. That is true, and these are technically higher highs. But that needs to happen for a lot longer than just 12 to 24 hours. We need to see that for a few days or even weeks to be able to break out of this transition that we're in right now, or this to make that transition away from this subpar scenario. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at there. We are testing 50 on the RSI, so to speak, almost kind of got a bounce there, so it is a positive sign in the sense that this previous high is now the current low, and that we should likely expect the price to continue higher from here. How much higher? I wouldn't say we're going to expect too much past 40,000 or 41,000, just based on the simple fact that this is a pretty strong resistance zone. But it is pretty safe to presume that we should see a price point higher than 39,000 today, just based on the overall sense that we are kind of bouncing off of the 50. We got a recent MACD convergence, and that continuation could occur for a little bit longer. Now, will it? Should it? Who knows? Honestly, it's really up to a lot of the market movers. And if we take a look too here at volume, you can see a very large volume spike here on this 1 hour. In fact, I think that might have even been like a 1 to 15 minute volume spike. That being said, though, that pushed the price action down. They tried to sell it off pretty hard, but it wouldn't sell off lower than 38.2, and then the price inevitably pushed up higher. It is struggling to make higher highs here, of course, so it looks like 39,150 is a pretty strong resistance level. You can see we came up to a 9 on TD sequential. It got rejected, of course, by that typical over-exhaustion, and then of course came back down to try to back up again. It's getting stopped out. So this large amount of volume is essentially almost meaning nothing at this point, because it's not super consistent. Okay, we need more volume like this, volume chunks like these, to be able to drive the price action higher. I do feel like it is losing some momentum, but once again, in the overall sense of things, it could continue to make higher highs and higher lows in the smaller time frames. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're in the clear. So please, 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 if you're going to hear anything from this today, we're not expecting a bullish type of recovery from Bitcoin in the immediate future. We've got a lot of key level resistances we're stuck underneath. We are making lower lows and lower highs in the larger time frames, and until we can break that trend, then we should be we can get a little bit more excited again. For right now, it's kind of more so fair to middle, and it doesn't really look, it looks like it's trying, but we have a significantly low amount of volume here today if you exclude this this candlestick here, and really just telling us that we're not, today might be one of those kind of low volume, low volatility type of days. We're not going to see a lot of significant price action perhaps here soon, so I wouldn't expect amazing stuff. What I would anticipate is that we might see a small increase to get rejected somewhere in the range of 40,000, and then likely a continuation lower to somewhere in the range of 36.5, or maybe even just retest 37,500 again. Because it did come all the way down here to about, 37,400 was its lowest point. All right, and that was nice because we got filled on our short position there, and we're waiting to see if it goes any lower. It does feel like it wants to go lower before it goes higher. However, in the very short term, there's a great chance we will probably see 40,000 retested again. And if so, if we break that level, we want to set our sights perhaps even further on 41,500, but we're a long ways away from that, if that makes any sense. So just trying to, I would exercise caution, dollar cost average whenever possible. To my community, of course, I'm going to make a lot more, I'm going to go more in depth with dollar cost averaging this month to ensure you understand more specifically what that entails. And just, again, if you're not currently a community member, I have a lot of private videos, things that we all kind of learn and grow together. I have a trading library, and I'm going to be adding to that this month with dollar cost averaging and a few other topics as well. But I think it's important to be familiar with that and to learn how, have a good strategy in place, because again, long-term investing, when the price is well over 40,000, which inevitably it should be based on supply and demand, we're going to be in a position where we're going to be happy that we invested at 38,500. Right? 40,000, 45,000, those are going to be good price points inevitably in the future once we have a lot more adoption and essentially less market supply, right? Anyways, that's kind of just some big picture stuff. So hopefully you learned something here today. We'll cover this again here soon, but I wouldn't expect amazing things here. Try not to get super excited even if we break 40,000. That's a starting point, but it's not officially the confirmation that you're looking for to start taking a lot of long positions. You're almost safer at this point hedging your short bets there, because they're more likely to take profit considering we keep seeing lower highs and lower lows. All right, that being said, thanks again so much for joining me here. We'll look forward to seeing the next video. Hope you have a great remainder of your day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you.